So once you're on your back, now bring the feet on the floor and the knees together. Take the feet hip distance apart. And we're going to start just by getting some movement in the low back, tucking and tilting the pelvis. So as you exhale, flatten your low back to the floor, tuck your buttocks towards the backs of your knees. And as you inhale, arch your lower back, let it curve away from the floor. Exhale, round your lower back to the floor, press it down. Inhale, arch your lower back, flip your tip of your tailbone down towards the mat. Now pause in a neutral spine that's right in between arched and flattened out, and then bring your right leg up into tabletop position. Bring the left leg up as well and pause there. Try not to let your low spine lift up or lower. Lower your right heel till it's just an inch above the floor, and then stretch it out. Stretch the leg out, hovering it. Bring the heel back in, bring the knee back up. Lower your left heel till it's an inch above the floor and stretch it out. Now the whole time I'm trying not to let my spine move, and instead of gripping the neck and the shoulders, I'm keeping the neck, shoulders relaxed and squeezing in on the waist. Keep moving. Right leg, bring it back in, lower the left leg. As you inhale, stretch the leg out, push through the heel. As you exhale, bring the heel back in towards you, knee back up. Now pause there in tabletop position. And if you have a block today, for today's class, it'd be nice to have a block. Take your yoga block in between your hands. If you don't, you can just use a water bottle or something that resembles a block shape, a book, something like that. Now turn your triceps in towards each other. Spin your biceps out and slowly start to take your block overhead. Keep your elbows straight and keep squeezing the block with your outer arms, especially your upper arms. Now try not to let your back ribs lift. So notice I'm keeping my back ribs pressed to the floor as I slowly take the block overhead. Depending on how tight your shoulders are, the block might go further than I'm showing in the video. But if you have tight shoulders, you just pause there and stretch. You let the weight of the block start to stretch your arms more. And instead of letting your back ribs lift, which would shorten you in your back, think of lengthening from the back of your skull to the top of your buttock, like you're getting pulled long in both directions. Pretend like you have a block in between your legs too and you're squeezing that. Bring your arms back up. Now this time, stretch your right leg forward and stretch your left arm back, but try to stabilize. Don't let your hips twist. Bring your knee back up, your arm back up. Send your left leg forward and stretch your right arm overhead. Without the hips twisting, bring the knee and the arm back up. Stabilize your spine. Stretch the right leg forward and the left arm back, keeping the back ribs down. Bring the right knee back up, left arm back up. Send the left leg forward, the right arm back. Inhale. Exhale, bring it back together. Other side. Inhale, stretch it out, right leg. Exhale, come back up. One more time. Inhale the left leg, right arm. Exhale, back up. Now stretch both legs and both arms out. So notice, if you look up at the video, my middle, I'm not letting it move at all. It's like a brick there. It stays super steady. And then bring the arms and the legs back up. Inhale, stretch it out. Not to tense in the neck and the shoulders. Keep them relaxed. Exhale, bring it back up. Inhale, stretch long. Cinch in on your waist. Squeeze in on the middle. Exhale, back up. Inhale, stretch out. Press through your heels. Reach with your fingers. And then come back. Okay, now we're going to use a block. Passing the block between the hands and the feet. So put the block in between your knees, send the legs forward, the arms back, and exhale, come back. Put the block between your hands. Inhale, stretch it out. Exhale, bring it back together. Inhale, stretch it out. Exhale, block between the hands now. Inhale, stretch it out. Exhale, bring it back. All right. Now roll over to your side and press yourself up to seated. Then come onto your hands and your knees. You can move the block to the side. You're not going to need it for now. Place your hands underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips, and back bend. Make a back bend, pull your chest forward, stick your tailbone up. Exhale, round your back, look back at your belly button. Inhale, arch your back, roll your chest forward and up. Exhale, round your back, spread the shoulder blades, pull your navel into your spine. Inhale, arch in your back. Exhale, round out. Inhale, arch, and then come into neutral and hold in the neutral position as you send your left leg back into a plank position. Bring the right leg back to meet it, but try not to let the hips twist. So pretend like your back was on the floor, just like what we were practicing. From the neck is long, the heels are pressing back actively, the thigh bones lift, and the buttocks firms to the heels. Keep your length as you slowly reach back to downward facing dog. Try not to let your upper back round. So you might even have to bend your knees a bit so that your back isn't rounding as you move back to down dog. So just remember the shoulders, how tight yours were. If you couldn't get the block all the way to the floor, you might not be able to go into a deep expression of dog. That's okay. Okay, now come back onto your hands and your knees. Shift yourself forward and lower your whole body to elbow height. Try not to let your belly or ribs drop. Then lower all the way to your belly. Come into baby cobra. So make a back bend in your upper back without using your arm strength so much. Use your core and your back muscles. Press the tops of the feet down. Lift the inner knees. Lift your low abs up off the mat and lift the chest as you press the feet. Lower your knees back down and press back to your hands and your knees. Glide back to downward facing dog. So you're going to start to build the strength to do the full salutations through doing this method of vinyasa. Lower your knees down without your shoulders rounding. Shift forward and lower slowly. All the way to the belly. Flip the toes back. Inhale into baby cobra. Press the tops of the feet. Lift the inner knees and move your buttocks to your heels. Lower yourself back down. Lower the knees down. Press back up onto hands and knees. Curl the toes under and glide back to downward facing dog. Look between your hands and walk your feet all the way to the front of your mat. Fold forward and put a little bend in your knees so that your hips start to stack right over top of your heels. Little bend in the knees, grab a hold of your elbows. Lean the weight more into the toe mounds. There's a tendency to just sink back into the heels. So lean more into the toe mounds and feel the stretch. Then bring your hands to your hips and come on up to stand. Stand in Tadasana, mountain pose. But if you have that block, put it between your thighs, like I'm doing, way up high at the root of the thighs. So as you have that block, turn the fronts of the thighs into the block, the backs of the thighs away from the block, until your knees point straight ahead. You don't want the knees to turn out. Then press down into your heels, move the block back until your hips are over your ankles, and firm your buttocks to your heels. Lift your belly and lift your sternum. Roll the shoulders back. Now move the block to the side, and we'll start the sun salutations. Inhale the arms up and overhead. Exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, make a flat back. Then step back into a lunge. So step your left leg back, the right leg stays forward, knee over the ankle. Back leg is like a plank leg. Come up onto your fingertips and start to move your heart forward. Then press the right big toe mound down as you straighten your right leg. It might not go all the way straight, but instead of just pushing your knee back, think of the hips lifting up off the ankle. Inhale, bend your knee again and step your back leg forward. Come into a flat back. Exhale, fold. Again, inhale, come all the way up to stand, raise the arms up and overhead. Exhale the arms to your side. Inhale, reach your arms out to the side, up and overhead, stretch up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, create a flat back. Put your hands on your shins or come up onto your fingertips. Step your right leg back into a lunge. Back leg strong like plank. You're pushing through the heel. The leg is straight. You're lifting up the thigh. Then straighten out the left leg to the best of your ability and fold forward. So just getting a little bit of mobility with the legs, trying to get some stretch into the legs to do these steppings and walkings back. Bend your left knee again. Step your back leg forward. Inhale into a flat back. You might have to put your hands on your shins to do it. Exhale, fold forward. Let your head drop. Press down into your feet. Inhale, come all the way up. Raise your arms up. Exhale the arms to your side. Inhale, reach the arms up. Push through your heels as you stretch up past your fingers. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, flat back position. Keep your chest forward as you bend your knees and step back into the lunge. Left leg steps back, right leg stays forward. This time, float your arms back behind you. So you're in the lunge with the arms floating back behind you, back leg strong. Roll your shoulder tips away from the floor. Then bring your fingertips back to the floor. This time, turn your back heel down and straighten your right leg. back heel on the mat. And when you straighten your right leg, your right hip might want to swing out, hug it back in. Now bend your right knee and float your arms back behind you again. So just like that lunge, except the back heel is down. Pull your right thigh bone into the socket. Put your hands back down onto the mat, step back, and come into downward facing dog. Breathe steady in and out through your nose. So we're building heat in the body. Try to keep the breath steady. Walk your feet forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Circle the arms out to the side, up and overhead. Exhale the arms to your side. Remember the action of holding the block between your thighs. So hugging with your outer legs as you reach your arms up. Inhale. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale into a flat back. Step your right leg back into the lunge. The left leg stays at the front of the mat, foot at the front of the mat. Float the arms back behind you as you hold, but don't let your left hip swing to the side. Hug your left hip back in. Pull the left thigh bone deeper in. Back leg strong like a plank leg. Roll the shoulder tips away from the floor so the chest is open. Then bring the hands back down. Turn the back heel down. Straighten your left leg to the best of your ability. Push into the inner foot as you pull the left outer hip in. Now bend your left knee. Keep that left hip in. Float the arms back behind you and hold there. Press through your back heel, get length. Plant the hands, step back to downward facing dog. Hold in down dog. Breathe steady in and out through your nose. Now look between your hands, step or hop forward. Inhale into a flat back. Exhale, let it go, Uttanasana. Inhale, come all the way up, raise the arms up and overhead. Exhale the arms to your side. Sun Salutation B. Inhale into chair pose. Bend your knees and sit back. Exhale, fold forward as the legs straighten. Inhale, flat back position, Ardha Uttanasana. Plant your hands, step back, plank pose. Lower the knees, keeping your spine long, your belly in, shift forward and lower to elbow height. Good, then lower all the way, flip the toes back, inhale into baby cobra. So just using your back strength, try not to use your hands so much. Lower back down, push your hands and knees down and lift back up. Downward facing dog. Step your right foot all the way up close to your right thumb. It's hard to do, but the mobility we gain from those exercises should help. Turn your back heel down. And now inhale, reach your arms up and overhead, warrior one. Bring your hands back down to the mat. Step back and lower to chaturanga. Oh no, I'm sorry, just hold in plank. Hold in plank pose and then press back to downward facing dog. We're going to skip some of the vinyasas. Step your left foot all the way up close to your left thumb. Wiggle it up. Turn the back heel down and hug the left hip in. Raise your arms all the way up this time. So we practice the same stance with the arms at the side. Now the arms just go up. Bring your hands back down. Step back, plank position, long in your plank. Now lower the knees and shift forward, modified chaturanga. Lower all the way to your belly and come into baby cobra. The toes stretch back. You're trying to lengthen just as much as you're trying to come up. Lower back down, push up onto your hands and your knees, and then back to downward facing dog. Look in between your hands and step your feet to the front of your mat. Inhale into flat back. Exhale, fold all the way. Inhale into chair pose. Bend your knees, sit your hips back, and raise your arms up and overhead. Exhale, press to stand, arms to your side. Good. Now step your right foot back. And so separate your feet about 4.5 feet apart and spread your arms out. So we want your ankles to be about wrist width apart. Turn your right leg all the way out and turn your left leg in slightly. Bend your right leg towards 90 degrees. So if I look down at my right leg, I should let my hips turn slightly towards my right knee, and then my right center ankle, center knee, and center hip should all line up. You don't want your hips sticking out behind you, so hug your right outer buttock in. Then lift your side chest and reach with your arms. From here, place your right hand on the outside of your foot on your block and take your left arm up to the ceiling. Then rotate the arm and reach it all the way overhead. Externally rotate, which means spin the bicep back and the tricep forward. Press through your back heel, reach past your fingertips. Try to make a long line from your back heel to your left fingertips. Keeping your outer left heel anchored and your belly and your chest lifted, see if you can bend your right knee a bit deeper. Then take your left arm up and come back to Warrior Two. Straighten your right leg, turn your right foot in. Put your block on the other side, on the outside of your left foot. Lift the arms, and now turn the legs to the left. So my right foot turns in a little bit, the left leg turns all the way out. As you push into your right heel, bend your left leg towards 90 degrees. Turn your hips a little bit towards your left knee, so they're not squared, and then make that left leg line up. Lift your belly. You can turn your chest towards forward, but don't let the hips twist. Let them turn a little bit towards the left knee. Keep the outer back heel anchored, outer right foot anchored. Now bend your knee a little bit deeper and then reach out over your leg. Put your hand on the block on the outside of your ankle and reach the right arm up. Externally rotate your arms, spin the tricep, and reach the arm all the way overhead. Try to make a long line from your right heel to your right fingertips. Reach through your right heel, lift up through your low abdomen, lift your side chest, and keeping those lifted, bend your left leg a little bit deeper. Take your right arm back up and come back to Warrior Two. Then straighten your left leg and turn your left toes in. Put your hands on your hips, feet parallel. Fold forward from your hips. So see if you can get the hips to get some participation in the forward fold. The hips tip you over and put your hands down. Inhale, make a flat back. Exhale, walk your hands back and fold forward. Let your head drop down. So the fingertips point forward and your elbows bend in like when you're doing chaturanga. Press your index finger knuckle down and lift your shoulder blades away from your ears a bit so they don't hang. Then walk your hands back under your shoulders and inhale, make a flat back. Exhale the hands to the hips, press to stand. Spread your arms out again. This time turn the legs to the right, but over a straight right leg, reach out for triangle pose. Place your right hand down on your shin or your ankle. So it's just like that last pose that we did, except the right leg is straight now. The left foot is turned in a bit. Keep pressing through your back heel. Inhale, come back up. Turn your legs to the other side. The right foot turns in a bit. The left leg turns all the way out and stretch out over your left leg. Hold here for 5 breaths. Notice the chest wants to sink. So as you squeeze your left hip in, lean back like you're up against a wall and lift your chest. Open the chest. Push strong into the back heel. Come back up. Now step to the front of your mat. Stand steadily, Samastiti. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back, Ardha Uttanasana. Step back, plank position. Pause there, legs strong, heart forward, navel in and up. Take a moment to pause. We're building arm and core strength here. Roll to the outer edge of your left foot and take your right arm up. So your right hip wants to twist back. Spin it forward so it's right up on top of your left. But then try to roll your right shoulder back so that your shoulders stack too. So hip stack, shoulder stack. Come back to plank position. Pause there. Roll to the outer edge of your right foot and take your left arm up. Try to stay smooth through the transitions. So you use a lot of muscles to go through the transitions. Those muscles help you to stabilize in the poses. As you hold here, stack your hips, left hip forward, roll your left shoulder back. Come back to plank pose and press straight back to downward facing dog. So as you continue to build that strength in your arms and in your core, you'll be able to flow through these vinyasas much smoother. Step your right foot all the way up to your right thumb now and adjust your back heel like when you did Warrior One. Come all the way up Warrior One, right hip in. Pause here for a few breaths. Press strong into your back heel and lift your back inner knee away from the floor. Now straighten your right leg and drop your arms to your side. Step your back foot an inch or two closer and fold forward halfway out over your straight right leg. Arms to your side, shoulder tips lifted. Legs as straight as they can be. Put your hands down on the floor and fold forward. If the hands don't touch the floor, just use your block. That's fine. Press evenly into your feet and hug your right hip back into the line of your right ankle. Lengthen out along your leg. Now step your left foot back a bit again so you're in a lunge. Plant your left hand flat and take your right arm up. So try to keep your back leg strong like in plank, and I want you to make a line from your back heel to the crown of your head so you're not bending forward. Once you get that length, turn your ribs in your chest. Bring your right hand back down to the mat. Now step back to plank pose. Pause there, strong in your plank. Press back to downward facing dog. Step your left foot for warrior one. Your left foot steps up to your left thumb. Turn your back heel down so your feet are lined up heel to heel and your back toes are angled in a little more than 45 degrees. Then raise your arms up. Hold there. Lift up on your back inner knee. Spin your right groin back. Upper inner thigh turns back. And firm your right buttock to your heel. Lift your belly and your chest. Reach up with your arms. Bend your left leg a bit deeper. Now drop the arms to your side. Step your back foot an inch or two closer as you straighten your left leg. Fold forward halfway over your leg, but try not to let your upper back round, so keep a flat back. Push through your back heel, move your heart forward, then take that length and fold all the way out over your left leg. Walk the hands forward a bit, let your head drop. Keep the back heel anchored, keep the back leg straight, and lift your left hip up off your left ankle. Keep pressing evenly into your left foot. Look forward now. Bend your left leg and adjust your back leg like a lunge. Plant the right hand flat. Turn your ribs in your chest, but not your hips so much, and take your left arm up. So try to find a line of energy from your back heel to the crown of your head. Like there's a line down the middle of your mat and you're lengthening along it. As you lengthen, turn your ribs and chest. Bring your left hand back down, step to plank pose, hold there. Then lower the knees and shift forward to chaturanga. Pause. Then lie all the way on your belly. Inhale into baby cobra. Roll the shoulders back. Try not to let your shoulders roll to the floor. So turn the shoulder tips to the ceiling. Draw the elbows in. Press strong with your legs. Reach. Now start to lift your belly. From here, we're going to start to move into up dog, but don't let your shoulders roll away or roll back down to the floor. Keeping the shoulder tips lifted, slowly start to roll your chest up away from the floor using your back strength. Now some arms, press into the inner hands, press the tops of the feet, lift the inner thighs up off the mat, lift your belly, and now roll your chest up to the ceiling so much that it's like it's looking up and maybe your gaze goes up a bit. Good, back to downward facing dog. So there's a lot of energy in that back bend when it's done well. So just give yourself the time to practice these low cobras so that you get the mobility in your upper back for that pose. All right, so from down dog, lower your knees, come to seated, and have your block handy for supported bridge pose. Lie on your back. Press into your heels and lift your hips. So first unsupported. Grab a hold of the sides of your mat. The forefingers go under, the thumbs go on top. And roll your shoulder tips down to the floor so that your shoulder blades can start to plug in. As you press into your outer arms into the floor, lift your back ribs away from the floor. And then as you press into your inner feet, try to lift your outer hips a bit higher. Lower your hips back down. Take a breath. Hug your right knee into your chest and stretch your left leg out along the floor. Take your right knee over to the side. Right arm out to the side. So just twist. Any tension that you feel in your back, maybe you got a little tweak in your back from doing those postures, just let it release here in this twist. Bring your knee back to center. Change legs. Hug your left knee in. Stretch your right leg out. Then take your left knee over to the right. Stretch your left arm out to the side. So feel your breath starting to slow down here. Body starting to relax, calm. Bring your knee back to center. Hug your knee in again. Hug your right knee in, both knees in. Hug the knees into the chest. Lift your head up to your knees. Lower yourself down. Set your feet on the floor. Adjust your shoulder blades down your back and adjust your top buttock out of your low back. Then set up for shavasana. Hands go palms facing up, about a foot away from the body. Feet at least hip distance apart. Let your feet splay open. So give yourself some time here to relax in shavasana. This is where you allow all the benefits of your practice to start to sink in. So as you feel the body start to slow down, as if the vibrational quality is starting to slow, keep your focus on your breath. Thanks for watching. Namaste.